Hello guys, it's the Danimal from the Danimalhouse.com. Told you I was all going to be doing some cigar review videos, so this is going to be the first one. I'm going to try to keep it pretty short so everybody can get through the review pretty quickly. Today we're going to be going through the Natural Irish Hops Ltd by Drew Estate. A couple of things before we begin about my reviewing, how I think reviews should kind of be done. I know a lot of reviewers will kind of whack you over the head with a lot of crazy jargon and terminology as to the flavor profiles of what they're getting off the cigar. I find a lot of that to be largely useless. I think if I tell someone it has a stone fruit with slight hints of leather and earth flavor, I don't think that means a lot to a lot of people. So I'm going to focus on the big flavors. So like generally, if it comes down to it, it might be like a very peppery cigar with that's very heavy with maybe some earth to it. Or generally might be like a really sweet cigar that transitions into something else. I'm going to try and hit on like the big ideas behind the cigar and like generally what it tastes like overall, rather than getting into like some overly detailed, useless jargon that most people don't even have a reference point for unless you've been smoking cigars for like 30 years. So with that, I'm going to light it up and then I'll check back every once in a while if the flavors shift, and I'll let you know how it goes. First off, very sweet. This is, the tip is flavored, or the tip is sweetened with some sort of sweetener. A lot of people say it's saccharin, but the tip is sweetened, but the cigar is not actually infused. I've seen Jonathan Drew and other people like say for sure that this cigar is not actually technically infused, though it does have a sweetened tip. They use some very unique piped tobaccos and some other really interesting things to get the very sweet profile that you get out of this. And it's generally like, I recommend this as a very good first beginner cigar because it does have this very strong sweetness to it with the tip, and that will wear off as we go along. But that is the prevailing flavor, is largely sweet. More like a cherry sweetness than like a chocolate sweetness. So that's about it. So we'll check in a little bit as we get down and see if there's any transitions. Quick little update. We are just a little ways in, smoking pretty slowly. Burn, I should have said probably at the beginning, but the draw is a little bit tighter than I usually find these to be. Usually they're about a perfect draw. This one's tight, so I'm having to do a little bit of a double puff to keep it burning and get the airflow that I want through it. In terms of flavors, really do get kind of like a lollipop sort of sweetness coming off of it. That's kind of the overriding concept of the cigar, and then at the core there's a little bit of tobacco flavors coming through. There's nothing particularly notable about the tobacco flavors, but there. You can tell you're smoking a cigar for certain, but there's still like a lollipop sweetness to it. It's probably the best way to describe it. Again, that's why I think it's such a good beginning cigar, because a lot of people aren't so fond of strong tobacco flavors, so the sweetness kind of is a easy transition as they get more into cigars. Like I said, construction's good, draw's good, a little bit tight, like I said, but not causing any super big problems. So that's it. We'll come back a little bit later and I'll update you guys again. I know. So we're about halfway through. Just done with the first third, I'd say. As I said, the sweetness has dropped off quite a bit, and now you're left with kind of a strong plain tobacco flavor and a little bit of a bitterness. It's kind of strange. As you do get through that first third and the sweetened tip wears off, there's a little bit of a bitterness that comes with some more tobacco flavors. There's also like a very faint pepper as well. So still kind of that resonating sweetness that I think is like consistent throughout the cigar, and then a little bit of a bitterness and a pepper too. So we're about halfway done here. I'm only going to smoke it down to the band pointer, so I don't like the nub. I think it tastes awful and it's too hot to really enjoy. So we're about halfway done, and I'll see you guys in a bit. Sup guys, we're here down to this last third or so. It's getting a little bit too hot for me, and that bitterness really picks up as you get later into it. It gets hotter. So that's where I'm going to end it. Very consistent cigar after that big transition with the sweetness kind of dropping off and the tobacco core with the still with the sweetness, and then that trace of spice kind of comes in, and it stays fairly consistent throughout from like that second third on. And I'll imagine it'll stay like that through the rest of this third, but I'm not going to find out, because like I say, if you whenever you stop enjoying a cigar is when you call it quits. So I hope you enjoyed this. This cigar, like I said, it's really affordable. You can find some really cheap deals on these. I think I've gotten them for as cheap as like $3 a stick, and it's for $3. It's like an incredible cigar. So I think this is a hit. It's probably one of my favorite Jewish State cigars, and you can't really go wrong with it, particularly if you're a beginner. So if you like something a little more sweet, check it out. Hope you guys enjoyed my first review. We'll just get better with time and keep figuring out how I like to do this review process. But until then, have a good one. Peace out, guys.